Okay, so recording is running. I think we'll decide where to store it and how to do it like later. I guess we'll need some account on YouTube for that and some official one. Okay. So let's probably go through then. Let me share the screen and let me probably do that. Yeah, let me just share the browser so that screen state is not that wide because of my monitor. Something's wrong. Let's try again. Okay, how do you guys see it?
Yep.
So I guess there will be 3 of us today. Any specific agenda we'd like to discuss?
I've got one topic about the Ingress V1 migration.
Anything else to talk? We can continue with that, I believe, with that NS1 record. If like, at least like if there are any thoughts, any news on that.
Well, we don't have a POC done yet, so not sure we can make any statement on that yet.
Okay. And getting rid of Docker desktop in dev environment, the one from previous one, yes, related to port opening and so on. I've seen Yuri had some questions on related PRs, but I'm not sure if he approved or.
Yeah, I wanted to look at this. I need to double check with that the service thing. The TCP server thing basically doesn't deploy a TCP service in AWS, but we have the more kind of providers to cover. I need to go through the pull request and make a few comments.
Yeah, is there that conditional that it doesn't deploy in AWS? But you are right, it's not fixed or handled for NS1 or Infoblox environments. But I don't like having a conjunction of 3 different switches there. Is it possible to have like a new flag in our Helm chart that would say something like in cloud environment equals true? You know what I mean? Because if we add, for instance, Azure in the future or GCP, it would look like and then there's like huge chunk.
Yeah, it doesn't scale.
Yeah. So I don't want to like add another like 3 booleans there.
Well, we already had called DNS exposed thing, which quite kind of
right. It's there. This is there. It's like conditional for conjunction. Core DNS needs to be enabled, and it needs to be AWS environment. Only then the service is get created. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Plus we Yeah, I remember K8 concerns also about the local environment versus production, right? Yeah, like I believe we shouldn't expose something we think, I mean, users are not going to use, right? So far we didn't.
I think we can introduce a new flag or option, say enable TCP, which will be enabled in Teratest YAML, the Helm YAML, and then be disabled, like, you know, in a global chart. That's
Okay.
how we can
I mean,
address this, I believe.
So at least it should be disabled by default.
Whoever will need to expose TCP service in a production, they will be halfway to enable it, right? So
Yeah,
because the service simply and node port and hard-coded values and stuff like that, but at least it's a kind of halfway enablement for them.
Yeah, it is node port, so it's like random port, which is not ideal for. Yeah,
not even that. Even that. I mean.
So yeah, I can extend my PR with something like that, or we can go with this one or extend it later up. Just yeah, if you can review the PR, I can
yeah, I will put some comments on that. I believe we need to go forward with that. I mean, to not stuck in the discussion, you know, because there will be always improvement points and stuff like that. So we need to find a mark where to stop and basically proceed with that. Yeah, let me find the time and go through that pull request again.
Thanks.
Cool. I think another question, or like I've seen from Yuri, was that if like we're catering only for users like Lima or like Lima Colima users, so basically Mac users. The question is like if the solution is not going to bring like to impact the users like sitting on Linux or I don't know WSL ones without extra virtual machine.
Right, it shouldn't. It just only adds additional way to talk with DNS, right? And it's not Lima specific, I would say. There's not, Lima isn't mentioned in the PR at all, right? It's only a technical way of we expose only DNS using TCP. That's what it does. And the reasoning behind it is because of Lima, but I can imagine there can be possibly different container providers that also suffers from this problem. Yeah, sure.
Okay, then I guess let's give attention to that PR and remember the number usually.
Let me look it up. I don't recall it from the top of my head. It's 845.
845, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, not issue, EPR. I don't know if there is an issue for it actually.
Yep. So okay. This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's pay more attention to this. Okay, so regarding the ingress V1 migration.
Mm-hmm. I can share my screen actually. Oh, I
Mhm.
can't. It
Go
says
on,
host
go on.
disabled. It says
Just
host
looking at the
disabled participant
sharing.
screen sharing.
Yeah, I
I
stopped it.
guess it's still disabled. I guess you need to somehow enable it. If I try to share my screen, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
I enabled the option that multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Oh, now it
Let's
works.
check.
Now it works. Fine.
Cool.
So, never mind. So yeah, I've got the work in a feature branch, and there are 2 commits. Mostly the changes are in our YAMLs that's used for testing purposes. This is data for tests, and then has to be changes because it's not only that API group and version was changed, but also the shape of the ingress object itself was changed. So if I show you some of those changes, it's very subtle changes, but so at first I'm bumping also the Kubernetes version just to verify that it works. Just to sum it up, the thing is that there was an old ingress implementation that was deprecated in Kubernetes 9 1.19. And since then, there are 2 versions basically sitting next to each other, version 1 and the old one was called beta 1. And since 1.22, the beta 1 was removed and only the V1 is present. So the issue currently we have is that if we deploy K8GB to a new Kubernetes it's been out for 6 months, it basically doesn't start because it's I don't know, something like ingress in version V1 beta, right? Because it's not there anymore. So we either have to downgrade the Kubernetes to make K8GB working, or introduce something like this. So what I did was basically throw away the old support for the old version of Ingress and convert it to the new one. So this is the change in the structure of the Ingress. Before it was kind of flat structure. There was service name, it's just a key, and value was the string. Now it's like more deep. There is a service which has a name under it, and that is the same string is here. And also the port is under the service and it has a name, which goes here. Before it was service port with the schema case syntax. And this change was done like across all the YAMLs. So all the YAML has to change from this to this. So it's a lot of lines, but basically it's very simple changes. And in the code itself, it was mostly changing the prefix from V1 beta to a new, new prefix, new module. Right, and also the backend, there was another changes in the backend. Before it was called ingress.backend, but in a new implementation it's called default backend, which is kind of, I think it's more sensible because even before it meant a default backend, but now it has a name. The default is in the name itself, so better describe what it actually does. Right, now Dinar has raised a concern that if we accept this, we will not be supporting the V1 beta anymore. And that's true. So what I'm also suggesting, part of this PR is to basically accept a release schema or some strategy how to proceed with this. And I suggest like make it 2 releases, one with 0.8.8. That would be the last release that will support the old ingress from V1 beta. And at the same time, we can release 0.9, and from now on we can release only the new one because that's what was in the latest Kubernetes. And if possible, or if necessary, we can backport some security fixes if there is a next heartbleed or some issues that needs to be addressed, like log4j or something. We can backport these commits from the master to this branch from 0.8 if needed. hopefully there will be something like that, so it will be easy to maintain and go forward. It's complicated, but if we want to support old V1 beta and new V1 ingress, I think it's easiest way to do. It's much more easier than implement something in a code and have like switches and something like dynamically recognize what version of ingress is running in this Kubernetes. And based on that, we have to like switch between those two, have dependency on two different versions of ingress. That's possible, but not sure if we need to complicate the code. My 2 cents. So if I go, sorry, last thing, which is kind of also important, is that I have also added a requirement for char and OLM, basically saying that the new, the minimum version of Kubernetes needs to be the one that supports the new ingress. So if I go, actually the change, there is a, I said that V1 was introduced in the 1.19, and it's mentioned here. So if I would like to, if I'm installing this Helm chart into the older Kubernetes, I will get warning, or it will doesn't allow me to do that because the code is, assumes the ingress from V1, and it's not in Kubernetes. So that's the way how we can handle this. And same thing is for OLM.
So basically, you changed the upstream type and made it look like it's V1 now.
Yeah.
Basically, why, if I remember correctly, why we forked the ingress type is because there was no API validation on hosts, if I remember correctly. So it can be empty. And we added that it must basically be a valid host. I don't remember whether the V1 have a check, whether it's validated or not, but we have a test for that. So your tests are failing, your tests are passing on your branch, right?
Not sure. I think they were failing, but it was different reason. Not sure. Let me check actually.
I mean, if the validation is in there, we can basically get rid of the embedded type then.
Yeah, it's failing on when deploying ingress controller. Not sure what the issue. It doesn't seems to be related, but yeah, we'll look into it after that. Yeah, basically there is timeout. 10 minutes actually, and it's timing out. Oh. Yeah, but in the branch, I've also bumped the Kubernetes version, so it might be related to a different Kubernetes version. I'll try to replicate it locally with the 1.22.
So what's again the name of the minimum version? Kubernetes
For V1?
version? Yep.
1.19. V1 was introduced in 1.19, and then the two versions were there simultaneously till 1.22, I think, or 21. I'm not sure, let me check. Yeah, in 22, the V1 beta is gone. So since 22, there's only V1.
So I like just checks, I guess, with I think we have to double check with the users what they have. I have suspicion that at least like on-prem, like one of the users is using 1.18, which is, yeah, so we should be ready. Definitely we should be ready for backports if something goes wrong. If we need to like quickly patch something, and so on. Hence comes the question, if like we can, since this is break change, not from like a K8GB API, but from at least like dependency requirements and so on. Maybe we can stick to like KGB v1 version, or what do you think?
Also possible. Yeah. I was thinking 1.9, but v1 is also works. So.
Okay. Yeah,
But I would
but
like
yeah,
this distinguishing is not just patch version, right? Because we are breaking the compatibility in a way. So I was thinking like increase the version more than just the micro release.
yeah, yeah. And I think we've been recently talking about like moving towards D1. Well, I think we have some outstanding things to tackle. So let's maybe get through them and yeah, see what's been left there, and maybe we can just go with V1 already. So it's aligned. I'm not sure what to do. Like ingress is the kind of one of the main kind of external objects for us, right? I'm not sure about anything else in mind, but I'm thinking for the future, if we have similar version change of like dependent CRDs. So what will be our steps? Is it like V2 or? Because we can use V1, right, as like it's like the closest like low hanging fruit for us. But what happens if, I mean, similar thing happens?
It's a
Will it be
commitment, right?
V2? Yeah, yeah.
Because once you are above the version 1, then if we follow like somewhere, you know, we need to increase the major version, and we can end up easily in version 10 or so. Are we mature enough to release one? I don't know. I would go for it. But...
Yeah, probably look around and see at least like briefly, right? Because one thing is like when you really changing the API, really changing the experience for end users. So it, I mean, I don't know. We rewrite how GSLB looks like. We rewrite how our annotations look like. That would be probably the major change in terms of underlying infrastructure.
And so, sorry, this is not underlying infrastructure. By this change, we are changing the shape of GSLB, right? Because that's direct impact.
Well, and I guess what about annotations, ingress annotations? I guess they remain unchanged in that sense.
Yeah, it's just flat structure. It's like key value, right? Yeah.
Okay, but just will be changes.
Yes, because we support these hosts in our as part as our GSLBs, and this host definition comes from this ingress module. So yeah, it also changes these.
Okay.
I was thinking about like having translation layer, or because we can simplify that in GSLB, right? We can have a way, it's an API. We can have like translation that anything that's declared in our GSLB would mean something on the ingress side. But then we lose this correspondence, and we can say that it's one-to-one, it's the same thing as ingress, but it will be some, you know, high-level API in our GSLB, transferring or translating to some lower level in ingress or something like that. And we have to document everything. Okay. It's also a way to go, but I didn't want to go that road.
But yeah, I guess like this is like one like critical dependency that it is going to change time over time for us. Yeah, let's see. I also like from our experience, the trend from like users is towards ingress with annotations. So like rather than GSLB, so maybe we won't consider that that breaking in the future, but yeah, it's too early to talk about that. Yeah, okay, so just to update the meeting minutes.
Sorry. There is also food for thought. I was thinking about it when working on this. Is that historically the ingress, it has these annotations for Nginx and other ingress controllers to introduce a functionality to ingress object, right? Because ingress itself was like too general for everybody to work with it. But then they introduced that ingress classes, which kind of externalize these specifics into its own objects. And we have the same approach for K8GB actually. We have ingress class for K8GB. I was thinking about it because currently we are hooked to ingress objects only through annotations, but we can also hook through ingress classes. And if the ingress has this ingress class of K8GB or anything specific to us, we can do something in our controller and react on those as well. But just an idea for future that we can have that as well. Because currently we have only 2 annotations there, I think, for labels. But if we need more information from ingress, it's probably way to go.
Okay, just to kind of hard code our discussion. So just briefly, the suggestion is to basically implement to move to V1 in upcoming like major release or like right, and use backporting for all releases. Okay. So this.
Well, I guess we should also release the last release under the version 1, right?
Okay. What if the cluster version is let's say supports both, right? So let's say 120, and we were forcing V1 with that, but the user will supply the V1 beta ingress and annotation. That won't fly, right?
Yeah, good point.
So we also need to find a way how to communicate that users that they need to, or at least have some kind of conversion, I don't know, utility or some conversion step when we run.
But yeah, that's a good point actually. I didn't think about it. Good, like
good point.
It will solve itself in a year or so because the release cadence of K8 is quite quick. I think half a year or so. And so it will be gone in 1.5 years, if I'm not mistaken. But you are right that currently there is overlap, and if we address only one. But again, I don't think we should increase the complexity and introduce some switches in our code because it will solve itself eventually.
Well, I mean, if this is like user shoulders, I mean, at least like we need to explain them, right? So there should be some kind of like upgrade procedure at least, right? So how they need to know how to, and I think this would be fair to users as well.
I think there is an API in Kubernetes for that, isn't it? For upgrading those resources from version to version. I think I saw that somewhere.
I think it's just enough to mention that starting with the version 119, the ingress must be V1. Shouldn't be. We stop supporting V1 beta. Basically, de facto deprecated API.
And also, it's a documentation issue, right? We can, if we document properly, that you can use both, but you have to pick and choose the right version of K8 to do that. Then it's like we are done, right? You can say if you want to use V1 beta, and you can do that till 1.21, you have to go with the older version of K8. But if you want to rely on the new version, which is the future, and we should do it anyway because it's deprecated, and every time you create new resources, you will get messages from Kubernetes, hey, don't do that. Then, of course, that's suggested way, and you should use the new K8GB.
Okay, so let's give it kind of more time to think about like some additional things that need to be tackled. So, but yeah, I guess like it's clear. I would also like to hear Yuri's point of view on that. I think I have like this deja vu because I think we've discussed that at some point as well. I think he was also the one who was kind of raising that concern. So yeah. Anyways, I think we have like 6 minutes left. Although it looks like I just got message from Zoom that this 40 minutes limitation has been waived for us, so we can use that time too. And I guess on that private DNS thing, we still have to gather material to understand how it works. We definitely know that this is the issue in AWS. We have a workaround which doesn't kind of impact the the existing architecture of KGB. We just tackling it with extra resolver component, which is using Route 33 as backend. However, this is kind of like a documented feature, I would say, because on UI it is creating like an S records in private hosted zone is forbidden, is grayed out. This thing is only available via API. So I guess just a matter of time for AWS to kind of close this on API level. But for GCP and for Azure, I think they also have some kind of mitigation for that, although they are not using the standard DNS records for it, nothing like this. So it all should go through the API. And I think we're not sure if actually external DNS has the respective providers have these issues implemented. So yeah, I guess then if not anything else on your side, guys, so we can.
I just found a command on the internet that
Yeah,
there's just one liner that can convert the old ingress to new one.
cool. Okay then, yeah, just to ask if you guys think I missed something in the meeting notes, please update. Thanks, Yuji, for that. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. So see you around in next session.
Okay,
Cheers.
have fun.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Fun, guys.